The best way to learn English for beginners. Hello, everyone, where we bring you the best tips, stories, and strategies to help you improve your English language skills quickly and efficiently. In this session, we'll be diving deep into one of the most frequently asked questions by beginner English learners. What is the best way to learn English? Today, I'm going to guide you through the best methods, techniques, and strategies that you can use to start speaking and understanding English more fluently. Whether you're just starting from scratch, or you've been learning for a little while but feel like you're stuck in your progress, this session will give you everything you need to jumpstart your English learning journey. Let's get started with the very first technique. 1. Understanding your learning style. One of the first things we need to talk about before jumping into methods and techniques is understanding your learning style. You see, everyone learns differently. Some of us are visual learners, others are auditory learners, and some are kinesthetic learners, those who learn best through physical movement or by doing. Let's take a moment to break this down. If you're a visual learner, you might benefit the most from watching videos, reading books, or even creating mind maps. Studies show that over 65% of people are visual learners, meaning they retain information better when they can see it in front of them. For example, when you read new vocabulary words in a book or watch a YouTube video that shows you the word on the screen, you're more likely to remember it. On the other hand, if you're an auditory learner, you'll probably do better by listening to podcasts like this one, audiobooks, or engaging in conversations with others. In fact, some research suggests that about 30% of learners prefer auditory methods. I once had a student who couldn't memorize vocabulary from books, but quickly improved by listening to English podcasts while walking or doing household chores. Finally, for kinesthetic learners, it's all about doing. You need to engage with the language physically. You might learn better by writing down words, using flashcards, or even doing interactive exercises. It's been found that about 5% of learners fall into this category, but it's important because these learners often find traditional learning methods don't work for them. So before you even begin your journey, ask yourself, what kind of learner am I? 2. Building a strong vocabulary foundation. Now that you know your learning style, let's move on to one of the core foundations of learning English, building a strong vocabulary. When I say vocabulary, I don't just mean memorizing words randomly. Instead, we want to focus on the words that will have the most impact on your ability to communicate. Research shows that the 1,000 most common words in English make up about 85% of everyday conversations. Yes, you heard that right. If you can master these 1,000 words, you will be able to understand and participate in the vast majority of daily conversations. But how do you go about learning these words effectively? Let me give you a real-life example. I had a student named Maria. Maria was struggling because she was trying to learn too many advanced words at once. She would spend hours memorizing words like meticulous and exasperation, but she couldn't even ask for directions or order food in English. We switched up her strategy and focused on learning the most basic and commonly used words first. In just a few weeks, her confidence skyrocketed, and she was able to hold conversations with native English speakers. Here's a tip for you. Start by learning 10 new words every day. Write them down, use them in sentences, and repeat them throughout the day. By the end of 1 month, you will have learned around 300 new words that you can actually use in daily conversations. Now that we've talked about building your vocabulary, let's dive into another essential element of learning English: listening and speaking. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is focusing too much on reading and writing. Don't get me wrong, reading and writing are important, but in order to become fluent, you need to practice listening and speaking. Think about how babies learn their first language. They spend months just listening before they even attempt to say their first word. In fact, studies show that speaking and listening make up over 70% of language use in daily life. That's why I always recommend that my students start listening to English as much as possible, whether it's through podcasts, movies, music, or even talking to themselves in English. Let me give you an example. One of my students, Carlos, was terrified of speaking in English. He didn't think he was good enough and was scared to make mistakes. So we started with listening exercises. I asked him to listen to English radio stations for 30 minutes every day and try to repeat what he heard, even if he didn't understand every word. After a few weeks, his confidence grew, and he began speaking more naturally. So here's what you can do. Set aside at least 20 minutes a day to listen to something in English. After listening, try to repeat what you heard. Don't worry if you don't get it perfect. What matters is that you're training your brain to get used to the sounds and rhythms of the language. One of the fastest ways to learn English, or any language, is through immersion. What do I mean by immersion? Simply put, it's surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible. Think about it this way. If you move to a new country where no one speaks your native language, you'll be forced to learn the local language quickly. But you don't have to move to an English-speaking country to immerse yourself in English. You can create an immersive environment right at home. Let me tell you about a student of mine named Ahmed. Ahmed lived in a country where English wasn't commonly spoken, but he created his own English-speaking environment. He changed the language settings on his phone to English, watched TV shows and movies in English, and even started talking to himself in English. In just 6 months, his fluency improved dramatically. So here's a challenge for you. Change the language on your phone, computer, or social media accounts to English. Start watching your favorite TV shows with English subtitles and try to talk to yourself in English. It might feel strange at first, but trust me, it works. 5. Consistency is key. Building a routine. Let's talk about one of the most important aspects of learning English, or any skill for that matter, consistency. Learning English is not something you can do in a week or even a month. It takes time, dedication, and, most importantly, a consistent routine. Imagine trying to get fit. You wouldn't expect to go to the gym once and suddenly have six-pack abs, right? The same goes for learning English. Let's look at the numbers. Studies show that learners who practice English for at least 15 to 30 minutes a day make significantly more progress than those who cram for hours once a week. So it's not about how much time you spend learning English in one go. It's about being consistent every day. A great example is one of my students, Sarah. She would study English for 3 hours every Sunday, but saw little improvement. Once we switched to daily practice for just 20 minutes, her progress accelerated, and she started feeling more comfortable using English in her everyday life. So here's what you can do. Set aside time each day for learning English. It doesn't have to be long, just 15 or 20 minutes. You can practice vocabulary, listen to an English podcast, or have a conversation with a language partner. The key is to make it a habit. Conclusion. Your journey to fluency starts now. So there you have it. The best way to learn English for beginners. Let's recap. 1. Understand your learning style, whether you're a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner. 2. Build a strong vocabulary foundation by focusing on the most commonly used words. 3. Practice listening and speaking as much as possible. 4. Create an immersive English environment for yourself. 5. Stay consistent by building a daily routine. Remember, learning English is a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake you make is a step closer to fluency. If you found this session helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more tips and stories that will help you on your English learning journey. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, you've got this.